Hi fans of high quality entertainment. In my community today I posted this poll for what video you wanted today, and almost 50% of you chose my top 10 albums from 1974. And the other ones that were in the poll, I'm going to do them at some point, and Janet Sampson, better known as Bob, he mentioned top 10 Beatles solo songs from 1974. So I'll think about that one too, Bob. So I did the top 10 for 1973 yesterday, and when I did the ones for 1974, there seemed to be a lot more records that I love. So I know that the 70s were, for me, the best decade. Forgetting, the Beatles from the 60s. Just forget about them. But I'm starting to think maybe 1974 was my favorite year for music. So once again, this idea came from Glenn Kellaway from the Basement, so please subscribe to his channel. We copy each other's ideas. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you try and remember to credit the person so he doesn't sue you. And once more, today's Thursday. Tomorrow on Rich Strickler's channel, I gave Glenn Paul Weller's Stanley Road. You will get to see what he thought of that album, so please subscribe to Rich Strickler's channel too. So some of the great albums that are not on my top 10 list, that I don't have in my collection, but at some point I want to, or I have had them in the past. King Crimson's Red, love that album. I just need it on CD. Neil Young's On the Beach, I love that album. Joni Mitchell, Cord and Spark, I love that album, not in my collection. Ringo Starr, Goodnight Vienna, I don't think I'd ever have that in my collection, but it's a good album. And that's about it. So these here are great albums that didn't make my top 10 list. Now remember, I put top 10 best songs, in the title, but it's really my favorites, and my personal favorites. So just remember that. So here we go. These did not make my top 10, even though I think they're all great albums, especially this one. This one's grown on me lately. Queen 2. It was the one early Queen album I never could completely get into, but now I really do love it. The only Kiss album I have and ever will have. Their debut album, I love it. I did their follow-up, Hotter Than Hell. It was one of the most disappointing albums I remember, because I was a big Kiss fan when this came out. But I think it was the production, which was pretty horrible. And then Dressed to Kill was good, and of course Kiss Alive I loved, and then I just lost interest. Randy Newman, Good Old Boys, is excellent. I love it. Definitely an album that's grown on me in the past year. I finally got it, and someday maybe it will get into my top 10. It's Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Yeah, I don't think a Beatle made my top 10. John Lennon, Walls and Bridges. Still a great album, just not in my top 10 favorites. But a 10 out of 10. I love this band. Actually, just two of their albums I really love, and then everything else is good, I guess, that I've heard. Kraftwerk, Autobahn. And then the other one I love is Radioactivity. But not in my top 10. Now this is a double CD with 2 albums on it, but it's just the one. And when it came out, I bought it when it came out, and I thought it was okay. Maybe a bit disappointed in it, but it's, once again, listening to it with fresh ears. I love the Edgar Winter Group's Shock Treatment. And of course I have that too. It's excellent. They only come out at night. But I actually prefer this, Shock Treatment. Another great album, very underrated. The Eric Burdon Band, Sun Secrets. Stop is the other album, but it's Sun Secrets that I really love. This almost made my top 10. It is so good. Man, Rhinos, Winos, and Lunatics. The sensational Alex Harvey Band, The Impossible Dream. So all of these albums I'm showing are like 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s. This is 10 out of 10, but it didn't make my top 10. This one would be maybe an 8 out of 10. It is the Rolling Stones, It's Only Rock and Roll. Excellent album. And this one, when it came out, once again I was disappointed in it. But over the years I've grown to really, really like it a lot. It's still not my favorite, but Shining On by Grand Funk Railroad is very, very good. I would give it an 8 out of 10. And, you know, I'll continue this series because for 1973, I got a lot of comments. I really thank you. And as long as I get the comments, I'll continue doing this. And I'll do the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Maybe the 90s? I don't know. We'll see. So remember, these are my favorites, personal favorites. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just what I love to listen to. So number 10 is David Bowie, Diamond Dogs. 10 out of 10. Number 9. This band, I think they're never going to be one of my favorite bands, but at the same time, I know that they are right up there. They're one of the greatest bands of all time, one of the most talented. And they put out a lot of great albums, including Sheer Heart Attack by Queen. Number 9. Number 8. I think you might have seen it in the thumbnail. Frank Zappa, apostrophe. Yeah, Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. Nanook Rubs It. And just the whole album. Apostrophe. Uncle Remus, Stinkfoot. I used to think a song like Stinkfoot, it was one of my least favorite Zappa songs for years. I thought, what a stupid song. But that's Frank Zappa. You know, and then I finally actually listened to it and the great guitar work and the music, and it's, yeah, 10 out of 10. And this was, I believe, his best-selling album along with Overnight Sensation. So number 7. So when this came out in 1974, it was the very first album I heard by this band, and I've been a fan ever since. I think they have one of the best discographies in music, very consistent. Even their worst album is good. And it is Blue Oyster Cult with Secret Treaties. Oh, I'm telling you, that really, 1974 for me is better than 1973 because I'm struggling. So much good music. And I was going to turn these around, but no, I think I'll stick with number 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah. Number 6 being Electric Light Orchestra with El Dorado. This is their greatest album. Jeff Lynne is a musical genius. If you haven't listened to this in a while, please do yourself a favor and listen to it. It is amazing. Yeah, I was going to switch these around, but no, this one is one of the greatest albums ever. And I think it's It's very well known, but I still think it's underrated because it is so good. Supertramp, Crime of the Century. Yeah, School, Bloody Well Right. And I've mentioned this before, but back in the day in the 70s, 80s, you go to a stereo store and they'd have the turntables. You would either see Fleetwood Mac's Rumors being played, you know, trying to sell the stereo system. And here in Canada, at least, you'd see a lot of the stores playing Crime of the Century because the production, it sounded so amazing. So, yeah. This hurts my heart to have this at number 4. Once again, this was the first album I bought by this band. I've been a fan ever since, and very similar to Blue Oyster Cult. They've had a great discography ever since. The thing with this album is, as some of you know, I threw it in the garbage the first time I played it. It is Sparks' Kimono My House. 10 out of 10. Just a classic. And one of the best album covers too, except for that sticker there. Who knew that this artist, this solo artist, would eclipse Sparks in my top 10 list? I know. But this, once again, is, I consider, one of the greatest albums ever. It is. It's like no other. It is Gene Clark. I've played this so much. It's a cross between pop, country. Don't let country scare you. Pop country, progressive country. It is just, it's a, I don't know, his vocals too. It's just a very, it's one of those albums that you have to listen to the whole album and take it all in, and you get shivers up and down your spine listening to it all the way through. Go out today and check it out. So, there's a certain band that's on the list twice. Do you know who it is? That's right, it's Sparks with Propaganda. I always used to think either Indiscreet or Kimono My House were my favorite Sparks album. But I think, not that their later albums aren't great, but I think Propaganda might be their very best album. With another superb album cover except for the hype sticker. Number 2. So what do you think number 1 is? Let me know in the comment section below if you got it right or not. So once again, when this album came out, I didn't hate it, but I didn't throw it in the garbage, which is a good sign. But it never connected completely with me, but I think it's because I was young and immature, just like I am now. Yeah, it took me a few years to really appreciate it. And now, once again, it's one of the greatest albums ever. And for me, it might be their best album. Although the one from 1973 was as good. It is, yes, with Relay. 3 songs, just the best. And that is it. I would love your thoughts in the comments section below on your top 10 favorite or top 10 best albums from 1974. And if this gets enough comments, I will continue the series. Thank you. Have a great day.